Christina Hendricks unpacks her ending with Natalia Grace in Good American Family. The star who plays Cynthia Mans explains why the real Natalia Grace can never get true justice, which is explored in the finale of the 8-episode Hulu series. Christina Hendricks had 30 hours to prepare to play her Good American Family character, Cynthia Mans. There was a lot of information out in the world on the real adoptive parent to Natalia Grace, the Ukrainian girl who was telling her story across multiple seasons of an ID docuseries. But the Man Men and Good Girls star had to set herself on a crash course when she accepted the role of playing Cynthia opposite Imogen Faith Reed as Natalia in the Hulu series, which is inspired by the true viral story. They sent me the offer like a day and a half before filming, she tells The Hollywood Reporter. I thought, well, this is impossible. No one can pull together a character in that amount of time. This seems unfair. I wasn't sure why that had happened, if someone else had fallen out. But that was the time we had, and so if I wanted to do it, I had to figure it out quickly. Within that time period, Hendricks binged all of the ID series, The Curious Case of Natalia Grace, which at that point had aired 2 of its total 3 seasons. She read all the scripts from creator Katie Robbins and co-showrunner Sarah Sutherland. She even studied Indianapolis accents, and then she went into hair and makeup. We started creating who we wanted her to look like. We found a great wig, and I was on set in 30 hours. After flipping perspectives midway through to tell the saga from Natalia's point of view, Good American Family ends with Natalia and Cynthia's relationship being open-ended. Reed previously told TR that she viewed their final conversation as Natalia pulling away due to the disappointment of losing her trial against her first adoptive family, the Barnetts, played by Ellen Pompeo and Mark Duplass, but that Cynthia made it clear her door would always remain open. The second season of The Curious Case of Natalia Grace had ended on a major cliffhanger when the real Mans family reached out to production to make accusations against Natalia. In the third season, which released after Good American Family wrapped filming, abuse allegations were then leveled against the Mans, and Natalia's complicated relationship with the family was explored. If Good American Family were to continue telling the rest of Grace's story, Hendricks said she's along for the ride. Below, she talks to Tara about joining the cast so deep into the series, what she hopes viewers will take away, and why justice can never truly be served for the real Natalia Grace. Well, when I got the script, I didn't know anything about the real story. I was just blown away by the wild ride that this was. It's one of the most intriguing scripts you'll ever read. You can't believe that it's based on a true story. I was just captivated immediately. And then I liked the challenge of playing someone so different. And I liked being a part of this Hulu structure. I've seen shows they've done in the past that they handled really, really well with these sort of true-life dramatizations. It just felt like a great opportunity, and because I come in at the end, I already knew all these great people were involved. So I wanted to be involved pretty immediately. It was a pretty wild beginning, a little bumpy for me coming in so late. But everyone was really welcoming and tried to make it as comfortable as they could in such a dramatic turnaround. Once I was in and I was settled, we were good to go. I watched all of what was out there at the time. In that amount of time, I had 30 hours before filming. We knew when we were filming that this was an ongoing story. We knew there was going to be a season 3, and we saw the end of season 2. Because it's an ongoing story, this series could go on and on and on. So we wanted to ensure that it was a very specific time in these people's lives. I think you can't help but have more questions at the end of that. That was the cliffhanger of their particular documentary. But I didn't feel like we needed to worry about it because our script ends at a specific time. If we do season 2, then we'll certainly address that. I come in when we start to flip the perspective to Natalia's perspective. We wanted to show a very, very different side of what was going on, and probably what Natalia felt when she first met the man's family. These people felt like a loving, safe place for her, so it was important to me to be true to what was on the page. Otherwise, the story doesn't really work. If you're not seeing these two very, very dramatic perspectives, then the audience isn't going to be on that journey with you. And even if you watch the ID series, you had a little bit of that, where you're on a roller coaster of emotions. I didn't have a lot of time to talk to Katie beforehand. So I had to say, this show's been going on for 5 episodes already. There's people that I respect incredibly and I know are sensitive artists, and so I'm going to trust that this is being handled in a sensitive and respectful way. And then just be as true to the character that's in the script as possible. Because this isn't a script or a story about taking liberties or having my own opinions about the person. This is about the dramatization of this script that Katie and Sarah wrote. All of these characters are incredibly complicated. There are things that are right and there are things that are wrong. There are ways that you treat people and ways that you don't treat people. But I think that sometimes you can find yourself in a place that you didn't intend to start in. I think there is a sense of community with Cynthia Mans. I do think that there is a nurturing aspect to her, and I think that maybe some things could go off the rails. I don't know the full story of how she got to where she got. I only know what's out there in the world that we've all been able to get our hands on. But I do think that, in so many of these stories, you started out thinking one thing. You thought you were one person, and then you end up in a very, very different place. Absolutely. That scene is very important because anyone who's familiar with the ID series is going to go, here's a weakening in her front. And if you haven't seen the ID series, you're going to go, whoa, whoa, wait, what is going on? We thought this person was going to be the good person, and then we see her justify it. We see Cynthia go, well, there's a bunch of kids here, and maybe this is a sign. Maybe I could take her in. Maybe she has a long-term goal where it's not just about taking Natalia home for dinner and taking money for her whole family. Maybe she really does think this girl's going to need to stay here a while. This doesn't look good to me. Let's get everyone fed tonight. Let's get her safe. Let's get her in a clean, loving home, and we'll go from there. That's what you hope. But you don't know. In the quiet, moody conclusion to Good American Family, Christina Hendricks gave us something rare. An exit that felt both shocking and eerily inevitable. Fans had followed her character, Elaine Brewster, through a minefield of Midwestern dysfunction and manicured deceit. But it was her volatile connection with Natalia Grace, the enigmatic foster daughter played with eerie precision by up-and-comer Esme Bianco, that lit the fuse on the show's final season. Now, in a candid conversation, Hendricks is finally unpacking what really happened behind the scenes of that explosive ending. I knew it couldn't end clean, Hendricks said, her signature auburn waves cascading over a navy blazer as she sipped coffee in a Nashville cafe. Elaine never did anything halfway. If she was going to walk away from Natalia, it wasn't going to be a tearful goodbye on a porch swing. It was going to be a detonation. And detonate she did. The penultimate episode saw Elaine discovering the hidden truth about Natalia Grace, who had claimed to be a 15-year-old adoptee from Ukraine, but was in fact a 30-something woman with a talent for manipulation and a criminal past. Elaine, who had championed Natalia through school expulsions, town gossip, and mysterious disappearances, was left shattered when a blood-stained yearbook and a falsified birth certificate surfaced in the attic. That scene where Hendricks Elaine stares, hollow-eyed, into the camera while the wind lifts a lace curtain beside her, has already been memed to death. But in her own words, Hendricks says that moment wasn't just acting. I had just read the real Natalia Barnett case the night before. I couldn't sleep. It felt like this was bigger than the show. It felt real.